Chapter 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 205. 205. The heartbreaking cry echoed through the grove as a boy, maybe 15, lay sprawled on the ground, someone's foot planted firmly on his head. He didn't even seem to notice the foot. His eyes were bloodshot, fixed on something ahead as he shouted himself hoarse. A husky lay there, motionless, covered in blood. It didn't respond to his calls. It was gone. Ye Qianxing, learn your lesson. There are people you just can't mess with. This time, it's just your mutt. Next time you try to cross me, it'll be you. The taunting voice came from the guy with his foot on Ye Qianxing's head. He was about the same age, but bigger, stronger. He had a whole crew of younger kids hanging around him, and the worst part. A huge, terrifying wolf, as big as a grown man, was crouched beside him. That wolf had torn 205 to shreds. Hearing the threat, the tears welling in Ye Qianxing's eyes turned to fire, like a burning ember deep inside. "Zhou Wei, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you," he roared and tried to scramble to his feet, but Zhou Wei just ground his head back into the dirt. "Kill me? Ha! You wish. But I could snuff you out right now. Just like that." The wolf beside him actually stood up a little, baring its teeth. Its bloody jaws were right in Ye Qianxing's face, the stench almost making him gag. Staring into that maw, Ye Qianxing felt real fear for the first time. Just then, a soft, but icy, voice cut through the air, pulling him back from the edge. Enough. The speaker was stunningly beautiful, an ice queen. She'd been watching the whole thing. She hadn't said a word when Ye Qianxing was knocked down, hadn't said a word when 205 was killed, but now she finally spoke up. "You killed his spirit pet, and you beat him. That's enough. He's technically my brother. Don't make things difficult." Zhou Wei frowned. He seemed a little afraid of her. He finally took his foot off Ye Qianxing's head. "For senior sister Ruoshi's sake, I'll let this piece of garbage off the hook. Let's go." He waved his crew and the wolf away, and they took off. Ye Qianxing crawled to 205's body, feeling the coldness. He didn't say anything, but tears poured down his face. This wasn't just a pet. This was the only thing his parents had left him. As if sensing his pain, a flicker of something like sympathy crossed the Ice Queen's face. "You." She walked toward him, about to speak, when Ye Qianxing suddenly stood up, scooped up 205's body, and started walking away. He brushed past her, his eyes empty, like he was looking at a total stranger. She was stunned. He had never, ever dared to look at her like that before. Leaving the grove, he headed straight for the back of the mountain and started digging a hole with his bare hands. His hands were raw and bleeding, but he didn't seem to feel it. Arg, alone now, he couldn't hold it in anymore. He broke down, sobbing as he prepared to lower 205 into the grave. Then, a mechanical voice, both real and unreal, echoed in his mind. Ding! System successfully activated by host's bloodline. Spirit Pet Creation Simulator Online. The sudden sound made him freeze, mid-sob. System. He'd heard the term before. Back on Earth, before the new era, it was just something from stories. Now, it was happening to him. 500 years ago, Earth had gone through a catastrophe, leading to a new era. It started with a meteor shower. As the meteors streaked by, a gigantic black hole ripped open in the sky, and never closed. Countless monsters poured out of it, descending upon Earth, creatures no one had ever seen, some only whispered about in ancient tales, others beyond even legend. Humans called them evil spirits. They didn't come in peace. They preyed on humans, slaughtering them without mercy. Weak as they were, humans couldn't fight back. Luckily, they still had technology. Though only the most powerful weapons could even scratch the monsters, it gave them a fighting chance. They built walled cities, designated safe zones, fought back against the evil spirits, preserved human civilization, surviving by the skin of their teeth. Humans were nothing if not adaptable. Decades later, scientists discovered a unique substance in the evil spirits' bodies. If ingested, it could trigger a mutation, giving the person the strength to fight back, but the success rate was low. Failure meant death. With humanity already decimated, they couldn't risk it. So, some scientists turned their attention to animals. They found that animals could also mutate, and the success rate was much higher, so, humans started creating mutated animals. But after the change, they became too aggressive, uncontrollable. Just when the scientists were losing hope, someone discovered that humans could form a soul contract with the mutated creatures. Once bonded, the animals became as loyal as pets, and as long as a person's mental strength was high enough, they could form a contract. Thus, a new profession was born, Soul Master. And the mutated animals were given a new name, Spirit Pets. Spirit Pet Creation Simulator. It's all about spirit pets. Ye Qianxing wondered. As he thought about calling up the system, the mechanical voice spoke again. Initial reward, mysterious treasure chest. Open. Mysterious treasure chest. Ye Qianxing was stunned again. He instinctively thought yes, then, he seemed to hallucinate. Before him, a treasure chest, glowing gold, burst open, releasing 4 items, a wisp of black flame, a single drop of scarlet blood, a nearly invisible ball of light, and a worn-out old pocket watch. Chapter 2 The First Pet, Hellhound. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What the heck are these things? And what the heck are you? Ye Qianxing finally had to ask. This is the Spirit Pet Creation Simulator. Like the name says, you can independently simulate and create a spirit pet. It gives you total freedom. Plus, the pet you create is 100% loyal. You need materials to create a spirit pet. You can find them yourself or get them from mysterious treasure chests that the system will provide every so often. After the system's explanation, Ye Qianxing finally got it and couldn't help getting pumped. In this day and age, you have to be a spirit master to survive. Becoming one isn't hard. If your mental power is strong enough, you can bond with a spirit pet. The problem is that making spirit pets is crazy difficult. Not only do you need special stuff from evil spirits, but even then, it's not guaranteed to work. That's why spirit pets are super expensive and always in demand. The government and a few big organizations have a monopoly on making them. Even if you get your hands on the right evil spirit goo, you still can't make a spirit pet, but Ye Qianxing is different now. With this system, he can not only create spirit pets but have total control over the whole thing. So, I need materials. Ye Qianxing looked at the 4 materials in front of him, thinking he might be able to make one heck of a spirit pet. As he focused, info about the materials started popping into his head. Blue light ball, a mysterious soul, 3-star material, black flame, hellfire, from the underworld. Can burn your soul, 5-star material, blood drop, blood from an ancient god, packed with crazy energy, 4.5-star material, broken pocket watch, belonged to some ancient taboo entity, can mess with time, but it's busted, 5-star material. The star rating is how the system ranks these materials, from 1 to 10. The higher the star rating, the stronger the potential. But it all depends on how Ye Qianxing uses them. Used right, they can be worth a fortune, but used wrong, they're a total waste. All 4 materials in front of him had high ratings. Looks like that starter treasure chest was pretty sweet. Materials can be found myself, so can anything be used? Even spirit pets themselves? Ye Qianxing asked quickly, suddenly thinking of something. Theoretically, yes. Hearing the system's reply, Ye Qianxing turned to look at Wu, lying in the pit, mutated husky, a spirit pet with special blood, severely injured / near death, 5-star material, special blood. 5-star material. Ye Qianxing always thought Wu was just a normal, low-level spirit pet. Even though it was mutated, it didn't seem any different from a regular husky, but the system's rating showed that Wu was anything but ordinary. His parents left Wu to him, so does that mean they weren't ordinary people either? He had tons of questions, but he didn't have time to think about them. One phrase really hit him hard: status, severely injured / near death. That meant Wu wasn't dead yet. System, can he be saved? Ye Qianxing yelled in his head. The mysterious blood contains huge energy, there's a chance he can recover. The system replied right away. Ye Qianxing was psyched, as long as there was a chance, but just as he was about to give the blood to Air by Wu, he had a wild idea. He grabbed the blood drop, blue light ball, and hellfire seed, and then put them all on, Air by Wu. I hope this works. Ye Qianxing thought, not all materials were right for creating a powerful spirit pet. Use the right stuff on the right things. And that's when the magic happens. That's why he didn't use the pocket watch, even though it had the highest rating. He felt the other three materials were a better fit for Air by Wu. If he was right, Air by Wu would turn into something legendary. The ancient god blood went into Air by Wu's body first. Right away, Ye Qianxing felt Air by Wu's body start to shake. It started growing. It was only 3 feet tall, but suddenly shot up to over 6, muscles bulged, fur stood on end, and claws got long and sharp. The wound on its neck healed fast. Then the blue soul and hellfire merged into Air by Wu's body too. Black flames danced across Air by Wu's body. Suddenly, it opened its eyes, pupils now deep black holes, like they could suck out your soul. Air by Wu looked fierce. Spirit pet, Hellhound/idiot, attribute, demon, rating, 5-star, growth type, level, F5. Abilities, shock, soul shock, effective on targets no higher than 2 levels, less effective the further apart the levels are. Combat effectiveness affected. Nether flame strike, summons hellfire to attack, does physical and soul damage. Soul eater, eats souls to level up. Weakness, mechanical types, promotion requirements, eat 10 souls to get to E level, 0 out of 10. Evolution route, take a D-level canine pill to evolve into a 2-headed hellhound, 0 out of 1, boom. Ye Qianxing's plan worked. Air by Wu had become the legendary Cerberus, guardian of the underworld. Ding! Spirit pet creation complete. You get 1/10 of the spirit pet's power and 1 skill. The system chimed in, and Ye Qianxing got another rush, feeling a surge of power. He used to be weaker than other kids because he wasn't eating right, but now he felt stronger than some pro boxers. Ding! Since you created a spirit pet for the first time, you get an extra skill solidification chance. You can merge 2 of the spirit pet skills. Which ones do you want? I choose Nether Flame Strike and Shock. Ye Qianxing didn't hesitate. Soul Eater was off the table. Air by Wu needed that to level up, but he didn't. Plus, the thought of eating souls freaked Ye Qianxing out. No way. After he locked in his skills, a weird feeling came over him. He felt like he was born with those 2 abilities and could use them whenever. Especially the hellfire, which was now inside him, in his Naiwan palace, warming his soul constantly. 205 might only be the lowest F-level 5th level right now, but I bet it could take on an F-level 10th level spirit pet. Just 1/10 of its strength, and those 2 skills give me the confidence to fight against an F-level spirit pet. Ye Qianxing figured, spirit pets are divided into 9 classes, from SSS to F, each with 9 levels. F is the lowest, but 250, with its bloodline and insane skills, probably doesn't have many rivals at that level. Maybe it could even fight an E-class. Even Ye Qianxing himself feels that he can fight against an F-class spirit pet. You must know that other spirit masters are not like him who can obtain spiritual pets. However, Ye Qianxing had heard a rumor that if the compatibility between the spirit controller and the spirit pet could reach 100%, then there would be a chance to reach the awakening state and the human pet could become one. In this way, the spirit master can use the abilities of the spirit pet and possess the power of the spirit pet. It's just that Ye Qianxing doesn't know whether this rumor is true or not. And it's not easy to achieve 100% compatibility. Chapter 3: The So-Called Home. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding! Please sign a contract with your spirit pet ASAP. The system notification chimed again. Only by signing a contract could he truly be considered a spirit master. For others, a contract ensured the spirit pet's loyalty. But for Ye Qianxing, that wasn't an issue. The system-created spirit pet was already 100% loyal. Still, there were advantages to signing. First, the contract allowed the spirit master to create a contract space where the spirit pet could reside. An injured spirit pet would recover faster there than in the outside world. Second, the spirit master would form a soul connection with the spirit pet, making communication much easier. Most people worried about finding a spirit pet to contract with, not the contract itself, since it was easy to do as long as their mental strength wasn't too weak, but Ye Qianxing's concern was his mental strength, damaged when he was very young, causing him to lose most of his memories before the age of 3. His mental power had suffered a major blow. He wasn't a complete idiot, but he'd get a headache if he thought too hard about anything. It was a lasting effect of the damage. System, my mental power is messed up. Can I still make a contract? Ye Qianxing asked. System products are always top-notch. Don't sweat it, host. Just go for it. Trusting the system, Ye Qianxing didn't hesitate. He pricked his index finger and dabbed a drop of blood on the center of Idiot's forehead. Idiot didn't resist. A minute later, Ye Qianxing was shocked to find the contract was successful, and the instant it worked, a flash of memory surfaced, a clear image of his parents. Ye Qianxing was stunned. The lost memories included everything about his parents. He hadn't remembered their faces or names. All he recalled was, idiot. Now, he could actually picture them. Could contracting with the spirit pet have restored my mental power? It must be the system. Ye Qianxing figured that was the only explanation. The system must have repaired some of his mental strength to make the contract possible. So, maybe my memory can be fully restored. Ye Qianxing's eyes gleamed with hope, his face lighting up with joy. Maybe recovering his memory would help him remember who his parents were and even find them. Not having parents had always been a deep ache in his heart. Master. Just as Ye Qianxing was lost in thought, a childish voice echoed in his mind. Ye Qianxing looked up and saw Bai Wu staring at him, their souls connected. Bai Wu, can you switch back to your previous look? It's cool, but it's kinda scary, Ye Qianxing asked. He didn't really expect an answer, but Bai Wu responded. The next moment, the black flames around Bai Wu vanished, and his body returned to normal. The guy actually had that ability. That was pretty sweet. In a fight, he could fool his opponent and make them underestimate him, pulling off a playing dumb strategy. As dusk settled, Ye Qianxing put Bai Wu in the contract space and headed home, but this home didn't hold any warmth for Ye Qianxing. When he was 3, his parents disappeared, and he was sent to an orphanage. After 3 years there, he was adopted by a family when he was 6, the family he lived with now. Ye Qianxing had been ecstatic to finally have a family, and at first, his adoptive parents treated him well, but soon they discovered the damage to his mental power. They'd adopted him because they only had a daughter and wanted a son. Their daughter's spirit power was exceptional, promising a powerful future, but they still longed for a son. Even an ordinary son would do, but Ye Qianxing's damaged spirit power meant he probably couldn't contract a spirit pet, dooming him to a low-class life. That was unacceptable to them. They even stormed the orphanage, demanding to return him. The incident caused quite a stir, and Ye Qianxing got a lot of attention, mostly endless teasing and the occasional bit of pity, but because of the law requiring adopters to take responsibility for orphans, they reluctantly kept Ye Qianxing. Their attitude toward him turned nasty, and they constantly yelled at and abused him, blaming him for everything. Ye Qianxing always took it, knowing he had to depend on them to survive. This lasted for almost 10 years. His home was in a residential building in Jiangnan City's outer district. In an era overrun with evil spirits, human territory was shrinking. Living in a community was considered good. Most people in Jiangnan City lived in crowded rental houses or basements, with over a dozen people crammed into a small apartment. When Ye Qianxing opened the door, he saw his adoptive parents and his dear sister on the sofa. His dear sister was the ice-cold beauty who'd stopped Zhou Wei, Lin Ruoxi. Ye Qianxing didn't think much of her, but she wasn't all bad. Although she seemed to look down on him, she didn't often take out her anger on him like his parents, so he didn't hate her, at least. But after today, Ye Qianxing was thoroughly disappointed in Lin Ruoxi. She had been right there when Zhou Wei's spirit pet tore into Bai Wu's neck. She could have stopped it but chose to do nothing. Even though Bai Wu survived, it still stung. Seeing Ye Qianxing, his adoptive mother, Qi Yan, frowned, gave him a hard look, and snapped. "You're late. Where were you goofing off? Your clothes are filthy. I'm telling you, if you tear that outfit, I'm not buying you another. You'll go to school naked." Used to his foster mother's words, Ye Qianxing silently headed to his room. Chapter 4 Shared Apartment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But Qi Yan wasn't about to let things slide this time. Seeing that he was ignoring her, she blew a gasket. You think you're too big for your britches now? You dare ignore me? You think I won't kick you to the curb and make you an orphan all over again? Not content with just yelling, she shoved him hard, but Ye Qianxing, who used to be so weak he'd fall over if you breathed on him, didn't even budge. Qi Yan's push had zero effect, and that just made her even more ticked off. Mom, come on, give him a break. Let him go chill out, Lin Ruoxi finally said, trying to smooth things over. She knew Ye Qianxing was probably still reeling from his near-death experience. She didn't want him to fly off the handle and do something stupid, even though she usually looked down on her little brother. She didn't want things to escalate. That's right, honey, don't get so worked up over him. He'll be 16 in a few months anyway, and we can boot him out. Lin Kaiquan, his adoptive father, chimed in. 16 was the legal age of adulthood these days. Ye Qianxing would be 16 in just a few months, and they'd definitely be giving him the old heave-ho. When Ye Qianxing heard Qi Yan's dead father, dead mother crack, he started shaking with fury. His parents' disappearance was a sore spot. He didn't even remember them, but they were his line in the sand. He could take being hit and yelled at, but he wasn't going to stand for anyone bad-mouthing his parents. You better take back what you just said. Ye Qianxing spun around, his voice dripping with anger, and glared at Qi Yan with icy eyes. Qi Yan jumped. She was genuinely intimidated by his intensity. She had no doubt that if she dared to say no, this young man, familiar yet strange, would lash out, but she was too proud to back down. So even though she was shaking in her boots under his gaze, she didn't say a word. Ye Qianxing, calm down. Just then, Lin Ruoxi stepped in front of Qi Yan, her voice cool. Ye Qianxing's sudden transformation had caught her off guard. She felt like the boy in front of her was a total stranger. The raw power rolling off him even made her a little uneasy, but she wouldn't let her mother get hurt. She stood her ground, ready to summon her spirit pet at a moment's notice. Lin Ruoxi had always been more mentally mature than other kids. She was one of the most talented students in Jiangnan City, and she'd already bonded with a powerful F-level spirit pet. A spirit master's mental strength determined how many and what kind of spirit pets they could bond with. Mental strength could be trained, but it had a limit. That limit depended on the spirit master's soul talent. Those with a strong talent could develop a high level of mental power, while those with an average talent would be limited. Qi Yan seemed to feel safer now that Lin Ruoxi was there. She wasn't as scared, and she glared at Ye Qianxing even harder. It's unbelievable. I've slaved away for 10 years raising you, you ungrateful brat, and now you're threatening me? I was an idiot to take you in. Get out of here. Get out of my house right now. Qi Yan pointed at Ye Qianxing and screamed. Lin Ruoxi frowned and was about to say something, but Ye Qianxing spoke first. Fine. I don't want to stay here anyway. You've never treated me like family. If you don't want this family, that's okay with me. Standing on the dimly lit street, Ye Qianxing clutched his suitcase, lost in thought. He'd just had a major blow-up with his adoptive parents. If you don't want to stay, then get lost. With your worthless qualifications, you're a complete loser in this day and age. Without me, you won't last a day. Remembering Qi Yan's parting shot, Ye Qianxing snorted to himself. Survive? With a system like his, he wasn't worried about surviving. He was thinking about thriving, and doing it better than everyone else. A figure appeared in his sight. She was graceful and pretty, but her face was a blank slate, cold as ice. It was Lin Ruoxi, his sister from 10 minutes ago. Now, they were nothing to each other. What do you want? Ye Qianxing asked, his voice flat. He was done with this whole family. Go back and apologize to my mom, and I'll try to talk her into letting you stay, Lin Ruoxi said. Ye Qianxing was surprised. He couldn't imagine this ice queen saying something like that, but he wasn't about to start liking her because of it. His voice stayed toneless. I'm not going back, and I'm not apologizing. I didn't do anything wrong. Hearing the stubbornness in his voice, Lin Ruoxi went silent for a moment. then pulled a wad of cash out of her pocket. "You'll need money for food and a place to stay. This is all I can spare." She held out the money to him. Ye Qianxing was speechless. Lin Ruoxi's actions threw him for a loop. Was this sympathy? Or charity? He hesitated, then took it. He did need the money. He knew he'd be rolling in dough soon enough, but he needed a place to crash tonight, and he was flat broke. Ye Qianxing gave Lin Ruoxi a meaningful look. She wasn't completely heartless, it seemed. They'd been together for 10 years, calling each other sibling all that time. You get attached even to a dog after that long, let alone a person. His resentment toward her eased up a little. "I'm borrowing this money. I'll pay you back," Ye Qianxing said. Lin Ruoxi didn't say anything else. She just turned and walked away, clutching his suitcase. Ye Qianxing spent hours searching before he finally found a cheap shared apartment. It had a living room and 2 bedrooms. It wasn't big, but it was decent enough. The rent was 2,000 yuan a month, which ate up half the money Lin Ruoxi had given him, but Ye Qianxing wasn't worried. He'd make that little bit of cash back in minutes. The landlord had mentioned that another girl lived in the other room. She was kind of mysterious, often away from home, and supposedly had a temper. Ye Qianxing should be careful. That mysterious part piqued his interest a little, but that was it. After tidying up the room, he crashed out. The next morning, Ye Qianxing got ready and headed to school. The tuition was paid for the year. Couldn't get a refund, so he might as well go. As soon as he walked into the classroom, he heard a familiar voice. "Hey, look who it is. All healed up after just one night. You're a fast healer." Ye Qianxing knew who it was without even looking. It was Zhou Wei, the jerk who'd almost killed him yesterday. Chapter 5 Settlement of Accounts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If there's a path to heaven, and you don't take it, you're gonna find yourself locked out of hell. A cold glint flashed in Ye Qianxing's eyes. He'd been planning revenge, and this clown just delivered himself. "Ye Qianxing, your spirit pet kicked the bucket. What are you even doing here?" Zhou Wei swaggered up to Ye Qianxing, sneering. He had to crane his neck to look up. Since Ye Qianxing towered over him, the visual was all about looking up. Actually, Ye Qianxing used to be only around 5 feet 7 inches, about Zhou Wei's height, but maybe inheriting even a tenth of Cerberus's strength transformed him physically, boosting his height to around 5 feet 9 inches. Zhou Wei clearly registered this embarrassing detail and suddenly soured. "When I'm talking to you, drop your head." He punctuated the demand by swinging a slap at Ye Qianxing's head. All bluster and bravado, the old Ye Qianxing would have eaten that slap, no question. But things had changed, and Zhou Wei was about to hit a wall. Zhou Wei's hand froze mid-air, his wrist clamped in Ye Qianxing's grip. "You think you can fight back?" Zhou Wei gaped, stunned, before erupting in rage. He'd been a bully for so long, nobody dared retaliate. Fueled by anger, Zhou Wei tried to wrench free, only to realize Ye Qianxing was surprisingly strong. His hand felt like it was caught in a vice. "No give at all. Fight back. Let me show you what real fighting back looks like." Ye Qianxing's voice was ice. He tightened his grip, and a sickening snap echoed in the room. Zhou Wei's wrist broke. "Ah!" Zhou Wei howled, but Ye Qianxing didn't flinch. He followed up with a kick to the gut, sending Zhou Wei sailing several feet. Ye Qianxing had to hold back. With a tenth of the Hellhound strength, a full power hit would mess up even an average F-level spirit pet, let alone a chump like Zhou Wei. "That's just the interest. We'll settle the full debt later," Ye Qianxing told him, his voice still frigid. He couldn't kill anyone in front of the whole school, and he wasn't strong enough to get away with it anyway. But that didn't mean he was letting it slide. If the system hadn't arrived, 250 would be worm food. His hatred for Zhou Wei had hit homicidal levels. Ye Qianxing's savage counterattack silenced the entire classroom. Everyone knew him. He was the biggest loser in class, an orphan, rumored to be mentally unstable, and unable to contract a spirit pet. He was destined to stay at the bottom. Ye Qianxing used to be an easy target, but now everything had changed. He'd become a stranger in their eyes. Not only did he dare to stand up to Zhou Wei, he wiped the floor with him in seconds. Zhou Wei was a black belt in Taekwondo. He could usually take on 2 or 3 students at once. How could this Ye Qianxing, this scrawny weakling, beat him? Boss, you okay? A couple of Zhou Wei's goons scrambled over to help him up. Kill him, Zhou Wei roared, his face purple, but the goons had seen Ye Qianxing's power. Even the boss was no match. They looked at each other, unwilling to step up. You losers. Get out of my way. Zhou Wei's face darkened even more. He shoved aside his lackeys, hunched over, and glared at Ye Qianxing. You freaking loser, you dare hit me? I'm gonna make you wish you were never born. Ironback Wolf, get out here, Zhou Wei yelled, and a swirling, rainbow vortex appeared beside him. The contract space, a leg emerged, then another. The wolf head, the wolf body, the wolf tail, soon a massive wolf stood panting. It was twice the size of a normal wolf, with razor fangs. Strangest of all, its back was bare, covered in sharp iron spikes. This was Zhou Wei's spirit pet, the Ironback Wolf. With the Ironback Wolf at his side, Zhou Wei instantly became more confident, even though he couldn't figure out how Ye Qianxing had gotten so strong. But no matter how tough he was just a guy. No guy could take on a spirit pet. Ironback, tear him apart. Spirit pet, Ironback Wolf, attribute, combat, rating, 1.5 stars, level, F3. Abilities, claw, bite, Ironback strike, weakness, flying/ghost type, vulnerable abdomen, evolution requirements, 1 drop of wolf-elf blood, evolution route, none. The Ironback Wolf stats flashed in front of Ye Qianxing. The system rated it 1.5 stars, meaning its potential and combat effectiveness were both mediocre for its level. It was nothing compared to 250's 5-star rating. Ye Qianxing narrowed his eyes but didn't summon 250 yet. He wanted to see if he could handle an ordinary F-level 3rd-tier spirit pet with his own strength. He was pretty sure he was on par with the average F-level spirit pet, but he hadn't tested it. This was his chance. Ironback, rip him to shreds, Zhou Wei roared, and the Ironback Wolf howled, scaring half the students into trembling. Ye Qianxing didn't even flinch. A spark of battle lit his eyes. The Ironback Wolf was about to pounce when a clear, commanding voice cut through the air. Zhou Wei, what do you think you're doing? Don't you know you can't summon pets in class? The speaker was a girl who looked about Ye Qianxing's age. She was tall and pretty, though she didn't have much going on in the chess department, but that was probably just because she was so young. Her shout drew everyone's attention, including Zhou Wei's. The Ironback Wolf also stopped, looking at Zhou Wei with almost human intelligence, as if asking for orders. Zhou Wei's expression changed when he saw the girl, but then he glared at Ye Qianxing, his eyes burning with fury again. Go! With Zhou Wei's command, the Ironback Wolf lunged at Ye Qianxing, claws extended. Zhou Wei, you wouldn't dare! The girl gasped and tried to stop it, but it was too late. She could only watch the Ironback Wolf attack Ye Qianxing. Many students squeezed their eyes shut, not wanting to see the gore. They already saw Ye Qianxing as a dead man. Nobody had ever heard of anyone taking on a spirit pet with their bare hands. Zhou Wei smirked, staring at Ye Qianxing, his laugh twisted and cruel. Heh heh, Ye Qianxing, you think you can mess with me? This is your fate. Become Ironback's lunch. Chapter 6, Fighting the Iron-Backed Wolf. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing the Ironback Wolf's claws about to rip into Ye Qianxing, Zhou Wei grinned, already picturing the mess, but his smile vanished. His face twisted in surprise as the Ironback Wolf suddenly froze. Ye Qianxing's pupils had turned into swirling black voids. It was the Hellhound's shock ability. It could temporarily stun opponents up to 2 levels higher. The duration depended on the relative strength of both parties. Ye Qianxing wasn't exactly strong, but it was enough to buy him a few crucial seconds. Get off me! Ye Qianxing yelled, landing a kick square in the Ironback Wolf's gut. The wolf yelped, flying backward and collapsing to the ground. The abdomen was a weak spot for all wolves, and the system had highlighted it as the Ironback Wolf's particular vulnerability. Ye Qianxing wasn't about to miss that. The Ironback Wolf's yelp and fall shocked the classroom into silence. Am I dreaming? Did Ye Qianxing just take down an Ironback Wolf? Is this dude even human? How can someone beat a spirit pet with just their bare hands? Especially a nasty one like that everyone was stunned. Even the girl who tried to talk Zhou Wei down stared in disbelief. Zhou Wei's eyes were wide with disbelief, muttering about the impossible. Ag, that the ironback wolf howled, struggling back to its feet. It was still wobbly, but alive. Ye Qianxing's first strike hadn't been enough to finish it, even hitting a weak point. But that didn't mean Ye Qianxing was outmatched. He'd just been testing the waters. The ironback wolf arched its back, baring its teeth in a snarl of pure rage. The iron spikes on its back bristled, like a porcupine. One hit from those could turn someone into a pincushion. Ye Qianxing knew the ironback wolf was about to unleash something big. He steeled himself, fists clenched, ready for anything, just as the ironback wolf lunged again, and Ye Qianxing braced to use his shock ability. The girl shouted. "Hua hua, get out here!" That a wave of heat flooded the classroom, and the temperature soared. A ball of fire slammed into the charging ironback wolf, sending it tumbling. When it righted itself, a flicker of fear showed in its eyes. Ye Qianxing turned to see a bird beside the girl. It was built like a young eagle, with feathers the color of flames. The heat was coming from it. Spirit pet, fire spirit bird, Suzaku bloodline, attribute, fire, rating, 4-star, growth type, level, F9. Ability, flame shock, weakness, water/rock, promotion condition, consume 5 petals of earth flame flower with an F-level fire inner pill to advance to E-level, 0/5, evolution path, rebirth in fire. Suzaku bloodline can be activated by enduring E-level flames. The system rated the fire spirit bird at 4 stars. Its potential and combat power were formidable. The fact that it had scared the ironback wolf proved it. The system even mentioned Suzaku blood. In ancient mythology, the Suzaku was a divine beast, as revered as the phoenix. Even a trace of that bloodline meant huge potential. No wonder it was rated so high. And it wasn't even activated yet. If it was, the star rating could jump even higher. Zhou Wei, call off your pet, or you'll regret it. The girl told Zhou Wei, her voice icy and the threat clear. Zhou Wei clenched his fists, forgetting his broken wrist. A jolt of pain shot up his arm. He was furious. When had he ever been humiliated like this? But the fire spirit bird was a serious deterrent. What is going on here? A stern voice cut through the air, and a woman with a commanding presence walked in. It was their mentor, Jiang Lin. Jiang Lin was stunning. She was every teacher and student's dream woman, but no one dared to make a move. She was also a powerful spirit master. The students both adored and feared her. Jiang Lin scanned the room, her gaze settling on the girl and Zhou Wei. Xia Xiaoyu, as class monitor, you know summoning spirit pets is forbidden in the classroom. What if someone got hurt? Jiang Lin's tone was sharp. Teacher Jiang Lin, Zhou Wei summoned his pet first. I tried to stop him, but he wouldn't listen. Xia Xiaoyu gave a simple, factual account. There was no need to exaggerate. It was clearly Zhou Wei's fault. Jiang Lin frowned, seeing Zhou Wei's injury. Recall your spirit pet immediately and go to the infirmary. Instructor Jiang Lin's tone brooked no argument. Even Zhou Wei didn't dare defy her. With a dark look, he snapped, Taibei, come back. After recalling the wolf, Zhou Wei, supported by his crew, limped to the infirmary, shooting Ye Qianxing a nasty look as he passed. It wasn't over, Ye Qianxing sneered. He'd just collected the interest. The real reckoning was coming. Instructor Jiang Lin turned back to Xia Xiaoyu. While Zhou Wei is mostly to blame, you're not innocent. Your fire bird has a high damage coefficient. You have to be careful. Run 5 laps around the field as punishment. Yes, teacher. Xia Xiaoyu accepted the punishment. Ye Qianxing spoke up. Teacher Jiang Lin, this whole thing started between me and Zhou Wei, so I should be punished too. I volunteer to run with the monitor. Jiang Lin glanced at Ye Qianxing, her expression thoughtful, a hint of curiosity in her eyes. She'd seen him fighting the ironback wolf. Only a seriously skilled person could defeat a spirit pet barehanded. That's why she hadn't intervened immediately. she'd wanted to see if Ye Qianxing could actually take down an F-class spirit pet, but Xia Xiaoyu had stopped it. She'd had to step in before things escalated. Confused, Jiang Lin didn't press the issue, quickly averting her gaze as if she hadn't seen a thing. If you want to be punished, go ahead. Chapter 7 Childhood Sweetheart Xia Xiaoyu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the playground, Ye Qianxing and Xia Xiaoyu walked side by side. Hey, Xiaoyu, you really didn't need to get punished for this. Zhou Wei's got a problem with me, not you. Ye Qianxing gave her a gentle smile. They went way back, practically childhood sweethearts. Like Ye Qianxing, Xia Xiaoyu was an orphan. They'd been friends ever since the orphanage. But she'd caught a lucky break. Turns out, Xia Xiaoyu had a super strong mental gift. The president of the Jiangnan Imperial Guard Association adopted her straight away. The Imperial Guard Association had branches in every city. They came about in the early days of this new era. Basically, they're a mega-powerful force that could go toe-to-toe with the army. Xia Xiaoyu being adopted by the Jiangnan City branch president totally changed her life. Between her natural talent and having all the resources she could ask for, she quickly became one of the best young talents around. Ye Qianxing figured he'd never see her again, but then they ended up in the same class at school. Talk about fate. Don't say that, Qianxing, Xia Xiaoyu replied, smiling sweetly. I wasn't just gonna stand by while Zhou Wei messed with you. Her words warmed his heart. Back at the orphanage, some of the older kids used to bully Xia Xiaoyu. He always stood up for her then, and now she was ready to do the same for him. Come on, you don't need to protect me. Didn't you see? I kicked Zhou Wei's butt. He balled up his fists and tried to look tough. Xia Xiaoyu giggled. You are a lot stronger now, Qianxing. You actually beat him. She praised him, but didn't pry into why he'd suddenly gotten so powerful. It wasn't that she wasn't curious. She just knew everyone had their secrets, and trusted that if he wanted to tell her, he would. Oh, hey, Qianxing, I heard. Her expression suddenly turned serious. She trailed off, unsure how to finish her sentence. What is it? He asked. I thought I overheard Zhou Wei saying he killed Lucky. Her eyes started to water. She and Lucky were super tight, too. Lucky had come to the orphanage with Ye Qianxing. Xia Xiaoyu always loved those cute little animals, and this was no exception. Over the years, she'd grown really fond of Lucky. Hearing he was dead hit her hard, not just sadness, but also a pang of guilt. She knew Zhou Wei was after Ye Qianxing because of her. As the branch president's daughter and drop-dead gorgeous, Zhou Wei had already made his move. But Xia Xiaoyu wasn't interested. On the flip side, she and Ye Qianxing were close. Always talking, laughing, and goofing off. This drove Zhou Wei nuts. In his mind, if he couldn't have her, no one could. Especially not some loser like Ye Qianxing, a guy with no parents, and a few screws loose. Xia Xiaoyu was willing to hang out with that kind of trash, but ignored him. It was a massive blow to his ego. Zhou Wei didn't dare take it out on Xia Xiaoyu, so he went after Ye Qianxing, which brought them to the scene where he ambushed Ye Qianxing on the way home, just to teach him a lesson. Ye Qianxing saw the guilt in her eyes, and ruffled her hair. Hey, it's not your fault. Zhou Wei's the root of all this. Giving him a beating today was just a down payment. I'll collect the full debt later. He clenched his fists. Xia Xiaoyu felt a shiver run down her spine. She sensed something different about him, a strange intensity. The system had totally changed him. From now on, he wouldn't back down from bullies. Sensing her unease, Ye Qianxing quickly dropped the intensity and smiled gently. This gentle side was reserved for Xia Xiaoyu alone. Besides, Lucky's not dead. He's alive and kicking. See for yourself. He opened the contract space, and Lucky popped out. The moment he saw Xia Xiaoyu, he jumped into her arms, rubbing his head all over her chest. Ye Qianxing couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy. He wished he could trade places with Lucky. Alright, you perv, get over here. Ye Qianxing yelled, but Lucky just gave him a classic Husky side-eye. and kept on rubbing. Xia Xiaoyu's face lit up when she saw Lucky, and she hugged him tight. Then, she seemed to remember something, and looked at Ye Qianxing in surprise. More specifically, at the entrance to the contract space beside him. You made a contract with Lucky? You're a spirit controller. That it was a big deal, shocking enough that anyone would be surprised. But Ye Qianxing was definitely an exception. She'd known him forever. He'd had a head injury as a kid, and that caused his mental impairment. Unless he found some treasure that could heal his soul, there was no way he could bond with a spirit pet. Trying to force it would only backfire, leading to serious injury or even death. Yeah, I got lucky and found some treasure. It not only healed Lucky, but also fixed my old problem. Ye Qianxing couldn't exactly tell her about the system, so he had to make something up. It wasn't that he didn't trust her. It was just too strange. Whether she believed it or not, knowing too much wouldn't be good for her. Xia Xiaoyu thought his explanation was ridiculous, but couldn't come up with any other reason, so she just went with it. Qianxing, if you're a spirit controller, you won't get eliminated in the final exam. Xia Xiaoyu looked thrilled. The final assessment was coming up, where they divide students into classes based on scores. The top students would get into the elite classes, while those who couldn't bond with spirit pets would get kicked out. Chapter 8: The Beauty in the Apartment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The school basically writes you off if you're 16 and haven't bonded with a spirit pet. Even if you somehow manage it, your potential's super limited, and it's not worth the effort to train you. Ye Qianxing was pretty much a goner, and Xia Xiaoyu couldn't do a thing about it. Her adoptive dad being the head of the Jiangnan branch couldn't change that, but now that Ye Qianxing was a spirit master, all bets were off. Even landing in a regular class beat getting kicked out, they messed around on the track and field, knocking out 5 laps pretty quick. Ye Qianxing, needless to say, had a tenth of the power of a Hellhound. He could go toe-to-toe with any F-level spirit pet. 5 laps? He could run 10 without breaking a sweat, and Xia Xiaoyu, despite her wealthy background, wasn't some pampered princess. All those supplements and regular workouts meant she was in better shape than most guys her age. She was a little winded and flushed after 5 laps, but she pushed through. Back in class, Jiang Lin was lecturing. Yeah, it's the new era, and Chinese and math aren't as crucial as they used to be, but that doesn't mean you can skip the book smarts. Centuries of experience has taught humanity a lot about evil spirits, their types, traits, habits, weaknesses, all written down in the evil spirit record. And that's what they were learning. Knowing your enemy is half the battle. Going in blind, no matter how strong you are, is a recipe for disaster. Really knowing your stuff about these spirits can let you punch above your weight class. Spirit pet battles are still the name of the game, but some people with certain talents decide to study and research evil spirits or spirit pets. If you can crack the code on raising spirit pets, you're golden. Even if you're weak, you'll be respected by spirit masters everywhere. Plus, making breakthroughs in that field is a massive contribution to the country and humanity. The school might even make an exception and give people like that special training. Of course, none of that mattered to Ye Qianxing. His system let him pull up the stats of any evil spirit or spirit pet instantly. No exaggeration, the world's top experts on evil spirits and spirit pets would be eating out of his hand if he wanted, but Ye Qianxing was focused on getting stronger, not hitting the books. While Ye Qianxing tuned out, Xia Xiaoyu and the others hung on every word. A lot of them would be fighting evil spirits someday. For their own safety, they had to pay attention. Bored out of his mind, Ye Qianxing waited for class to end. Xia Xiaoyu bought him lunch. Ye Qianxing realized he was flat broke after paying rent. Time to make some dough. He couldn't keep mooching off Xia Xiaoyu. She wouldn't mind, he knew, but it bothered him. He was a man, damn it. He couldn't let a girl pay his way. Thinking about it, Ye Qianxing found himself back at his apartment. He noticed the door wasn't locked. He was sure he'd locked it before leaving. Someone inside. He walked into the living room, thinking. Suddenly, the bathroom door swung open. Ye Qianxing looked over, eyes widening. His nose felt a little hot, like it might start bleeding. A stunning woman stood in the doorway. She looked to be in her 20s, with a perfect face and a killer body. Seriously, she was the whole package. but Ye Qianxing was used to seeing pretty faces. Lin Ruoxi and Xia Xiaoyu were just as gorgeous. Maybe a little less curvy, but that was just because of their age. No, what made Ye Qianxing's jaw drop and his nose threaten to gush was that the woman was stark naked. 16 years old and a virgin, Ye Qianxing hadn't even seen a girl's bare legs before, let alone this. He was completely caught off guard. The woman clearly hadn't expected company. She froze for a second, then darted back into the bathroom. A few seconds later, she reappeared, wrapped in a towel. Ye Qianxing nearly sprayed blood everywhere. Sometimes, a little mystery is even sexier. Snapping back to reality, Ye Qianxing looked away, wiped his nose, and coughed. Hey, I think you're... Before he could finish, something whizzed past his face. He instinctively ducked, just in time to see a glint of metal, a dagger. If he hadn't moved, it would have gone straight through his eye. The woman, holding the dagger, looked surprised. She hadn't expected him to dodge, but the surprise faded fast. Her eyes went cold again. She raised the dagger, and went for his eye again. What the hell? Ye Qianxing yelped, dodging again. The woman knew what she was doing. She was all over him with that dagger, and Ye Qianxing was struggling to keep up. He might have the strength of a fraction of a Cerberus, but he didn't know how to fight. She was aiming for his eyes every time, and Ye Qianxing knew it was because he'd seen her naked. It was his fault, sure, but he hadn't meant to. Still, he'd seen everything, and it was hard to just attack her. Hey, look, I'm sorry about seeing you like that, but it was an accident. Can we talk about this? That just seemed to make her angrier. She moved faster and harder, and Ye Qianxing was starting to get annoyed. Looks like I need to calm you down before we can talk. Sorry about this. Ye Qianxing stopped dodging and grabbed for her hands. She didn't realize how strong he was. Thinking he was weak, she didn't move, and he caught her hands. She struggled, but Ye Qianxing used his strength to push her down and pin her. The position was awkward, but Ye Qianxing didn't see any other way to restrain her. Chapter 9 Mercenary City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Beauty, no hard feelings, but I'm kinda stuck here. Read. Look, even though the situation was weird, Ye Qianxing didn't dare let his mind wander. He needed to explain, and fast. Hey, chill out for a sec, okay? Listen, I'm renting this place. Just moved in. What just happened? Total accident. And, surprisingly, it worked. She stopped struggling. Get off me, she said, her voice like ice. Being this close, her perfume, or maybe just her natural scent, filled Ye Qianxing's nostrils. He was fighting hard to keep his cool, trying to keep it together. He said, I'll let you up, but you gotta promise not to pull anything. She nodded, and Ye Qianxing started to get up real slow. But the second he moved, she swung a leg, aiming straight for his, son of a. Ye Qianxing yelped. Guess what they say is true, the prettiest ones are the most dangerous. Seriously, going for the family jewels. Even if he was tougher than average, that area was still super vulnerable. He'd be singing soprano for life if she connected. Without thinking, Ye Qianxing unleashed his shock ability. Just like that, she froze. He scrambled back. 5 seconds later, she blinked, consciousness returning, and stared at him, her eyes now narrowed with suspicion. She'd felt some kind of attack on her very soul. Clearly, he was the one who did it. A soul attack? This guy was dangerous. Hey! You lied. You said you wouldn't do anything if I let you up. Ye Qianxing shot back, indignant. I moved my leg, she retorted. So she was gonna play that game? Look, Ye Qianxing sighed, seeing she wasn't about to attack again, and finally feeling like he could breathe. It was a misunderstanding, okay? I moved in yesterday. Landlord said you were never around, so I figured the place was empty. Plus, you gotta take some responsibility here. Who walks around naked after a shower? I. She wanted to say that she didn't know anyone had moved in, and that she'd just gotten back herself. There was never anyone else here before, so she just came out without thinking. But the words just wouldn't come out. You better forget this ever happened. Or I'll find ways to make you regret you were ever born. With that, she turned on her heel and disappeared into her room. Hey, what's your name, at least? We're roommates, after all. He called after her, but she just slammed the door in his face. Ye Qianxing just shook his head. Now he understood why the landlord warned him about her temper. After cleaning up, Ye Qianxing went to his own room. Lying on his bed, staring at the ceiling, his mind was racing. He needed cash, and he needed it now. Money makes the world go around, and right now he was flat broke, and in debt. Spirit masters had plenty of ways to make money, but most of them were slow burns. The fast way was mercenary work, hunting monsters for bounties. Alright, that's the plan. With that settled, the night slipped away. The next morning, ditching school, Ye Qianxing headed towards Mercenary City. School was like college used to be. You didn't have to go to class, it was all on you. If you screwed up, no one was gonna hold your hand. After all, this was about surviving. If he didn't care, why would they? And besides, with his system, he didn't need school anyway. Mercenary City was the hub for all mercenaries in Jiangnan City. Here, you could pick up jobs and get paid. It was Ye Qianxing's first time here, and he was clueless. But, using a map, he eventually found the task hall, the place to find commissions. The task hall was huge. At the far end was a giant screen covered in tiny writing. These were the available tasks. Staff members bustled around the hall, helping mercenaries find jobs. Think of it like a bank, but for monster hunters. The hall was packed. Ye Qianxing found a line and waited. An hour later, it was finally his turn. Hello, sir. Here to accept a task or collect payment. The person who greeted him was a young woman in her 20s, pretty enough. Most of the staff here were regular people, either lacking the talent to bond with spirit pets or too poor to afford one. See, even though becoming a spirit master wasn't that hard, only 1 in 10 people were spirit masters. Talented ones? Even rarer. I'm here to take on a task. The receptionist was polite, as ordinary people tended to be around spirit masters. Ye Qianxing, for his part, was calm and respectful. He remembered being told he'd never be able to become a spirit master, so he understood their struggle. Bottom line, in this world, ordinary people served the spirit masters. Sure, most spirit masters protected regular people, but some let the power get to their heads, and they'd abuse it, like Zhou Wei, who used his powers to bully Ye Qianxing. The receptionist, surprised by Ye Qianxing's easygoing manner, recovered and smiled. Then I'll need to see your mercenary badge. Mercenary badge? Ye Qianxing frowned. First time here, never heard of it. She figured he'd just forgotten it, so she said, if you forgot it, you can just give me your mercenary group name. I can look you up that way. Ye Qianxing smiled sheepishly. Ma'am, it's my first time here. I don't have a badge, and I don't even know what a mercenary badge is. Oh. She was clearly surprised. She'd never run into this before. See, most people did their homework before showing up. Ye Qianxing, on the other hand, had just rushed in without thinking it through. Chapter 10 Iron Blood Mercenary Group, Kuiwu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hey, do you need a mercenary badge to take on the mission? Ye Qianxing asked, a little reluctant. Yeah, it's the Mercenary Association's rule, nothing I can do, the receptionist replied, sounding helpless. So, how do you even get one? Ye Qianxing pressed. If he couldn't bend the rules, he'd have to follow them. Maybe it was her professional training, or maybe she appreciated Ye Qianxing's respectful attitude, but the receptionist didn't seem annoyed by his basic questions. She patiently explained, getting a badge isn't that hard. Just join a mercenary group officially registered with the association. They'll issue you a badge once you're in. After hearing her out, Ye Qianxing finally got it. He needed to join a mercenary group first, but, how do you join a mercenary group? He asked again, and she patiently answered, just head to the recruitment square. You'll usually find plenty of groups looking for members there. Alright, thanks, Ye Qianxing said. I'll find a group and then come back. The receptionist waved, dismissing his thanks. It's no problem at all, Mr. Spirit Controller. It's my job to help. Hearing her respectful tone, Ye Qianxing didn't feel happy. Instead, he sighed. After centuries, ordinary people were still in awe of spirit masters. It was ingrained in them, hard to shake off, but weren't spirit masters ordinary people once? Why the inherent sense of inferiority? Ye Qianxing sighed, knowing he couldn't change things overnight. It would take time. He said goodbye and turned to leave. After a few steps, a huge man lumbered toward her. This guy was something else, all muscle and towering height, easily close to 7 feet tall. Even Ye Qianxing, who was already pretty tall, felt small next to him. He was like a walking iron tower. Even spirit controllers around him seemed intimidated. That physique is insane. Shoo, keep it down. That's Kuiwu from the Iron-Blooded Mercenary group. They say he's an E-level spirit master, and he's got a real temper. If he hears you, you're toast. Iron-Blooded Mercenary group. The top group in Jiangnan City. People who recognized him whispered amongst themselves, but the giant ignored them, walking right past Ye Qianxing without a second glance. Ye Qianxing, snapping out of his surprise, decided to leave the hall, but after a few more steps, he heard a commotion behind him, and a familiar voice, the receptionist, was saying, Mr. Spirit Controller, please abide by the rules of the hall. No cutting in line. She was addressing the giant. What's it to you if I cut in line? Anyone here got a problem with it? The tower man bellowed. The receptionist, just an ordinary girl, looked terrified, her eyes wide with fear, but she forced a smile, her professionalism kicking in. Sir, these are our rules, please follow them. Are you kidding me? I'm joining their team, and they don't care. You're giving me the rules. Some ordinary person lecturing me. Get my business taken care of, now. That the giant's voice rose even louder, and everyone in the hall turned to look. Of course, no one in line dared object to the giant cutting in. Just looking at him, nobody wanted to risk it. No point in causing trouble. A few extra minutes wasn't worth the fight, but the receptionist stood her ground. No cutting, period. Even though she was trembling with fear, she didn't back down. You really trying to test me? If you won't help, I'll kill you. Seeing she wouldn't budge, the giant was furious. In his mind, as a spirit master, he was inherently superior. Daring to defy him was a challenge to his authority. The Celestial Empire had laws against killing, but they were often ignored. Could the state really punish a spirit master for killing an ordinary person? Too many people believed that spirit masters were above ordinary people, and the laws were just there to control the masses. The receptionist was pale and shaking, but her ethics kept her firm. You're asking for it. The giant lost it, reaching out to grab her. Everyone knew what would happen if she was caught, but nobody moved. Who would risk offending a powerful spirit master for a receptionist? Only a fool, but a fool was about to appear. Just as the giant's hand was closing on her neck, a figure appeared in front of her, grabbing the giant's wrist. It's you. The receptionist was shocked. She'd given up hope, certain she was done for. But someone was willing to help, and it was the young man who had been asking about joining the mercenary group. The giant was also stunned. He couldn't believe this scrawny kid had caught his hand. In his eyes, Ye Qianxing was indeed a skinny monkey, and this skinny monkey had stopped him. Unbelievable. He tried to increase his grip, but his hand felt frozen, unmovable. How could this skinny monkey be so strong? That was all he could think. The sudden turn of events surprised everyone. They'd expected violence, but instead, they were witnessing a rescue. Damn, who's this guy? Messing with Kuiwu? I don't know him. Never seen him before. But judging by his age, he's probably just starting out, trying to find his way in Mercenary City. He saw this and wanted to be a hero. Huh, what is this, some kind of old movie? Playing hero to save the day is going to get this guy killed. He's messing with Kuiwu. He's done for.